All right, well, today you can notice we are moving on from combining like terms, and we've moved on to equations. Expressions, remember, were things like this, 3a plus 4. Well, today we're going to actually go from expressions, as you can see, and we're going to do equations, which means we're going to add an equal sign, and we're going to do some solving. Okay? What I want you to think about when we look at equations is I want you to think about a scale. Maybe you've seen a balance like this before, and obviously you can see that in order for these two to be equivalent or equal, or if they're the same height, you have to have the same thing on both sides. 3 triangles, 2 circles, 2 circles. So this is equal. This is equal to each other. On this side, it's going to be equal once I have the same amount on both sides. Well, most of us know that 3 plus 4 equals 7. Okay, so this right here is going to be our balance in our equation. Okay, so in your notes, I'd like for you to go ahead and write for me today. You don't need to write this one here, but I'd like for you to go ahead and write what we're going to do. We're going to do solving one-step equations. One step. So we're going to do one operation. Okay, so go ahead and write that down. And then the first equation I would like for you to write is actually this here. I want you to write the variable j plus 12 equals 25. Now, most of us know what the answer already is, and that's not what I'm going to grade. I'm not going to grade whether or not you know the answer. I'm going to grade whether or not you know the steps or the process in how to solve it. Well, before we can do that, we have to know a couple things. First of all, we have to know the opposite of operations. So go ahead, and I'm going to cross this out. For example, let's write over here, opposite operations. For example, what is the opposite of adding? Well, most of us know the opposite of adding would be subtracting. So then obviously the opposite of subtraction would be adding. What would be the opposite of multiplying? Well, the opposite of multiply would be to divide. And vice versa, the opposite of dividing is multiply. In order to solve these one-step equations, you have to know the opposites. So make sure you have this in your notes in case you don't know them. All right, let's go back to the equation we have in our notes. We need to find our balance. Our balance, what makes it equal? Well, here's our balance right here. I'd like for you to go ahead and circle it for today. So if you circle it, we're going to look on both sides of our balance, which means I'm going to look on this side first. I have the number 25 on this side. And on this side, I have a variable j plus 12. Our goal is to get the variable by itself. Well, if you notice, the variable j is not by itself over here. It is adding 12. We need to do the opposite operation. What is the opposite of adding? Well, we know here that the opposite of adding is subtracting. So underneath my plus 12, I need to subtract 12 on this side. Well, as you can see in the picture that I showed you of the scale, here's my scale, whatever I do on one side, I have to do to the other in order to keep it even. So if I'm going to subtract 12 on this side, I have to subtract 12 on this side. Okay? So we're going to put a line here to help us know we're going to have a new problem. Now, most of us know that 12 minus 12 is going to be 0, so it cancels out, leaving our variable j. We're going to bring our balance down. So now I have j equals, well, now I need to do 25 minus 12. 5 minus 2 is 3, and 2 minus 1 is 1. I found out that j equals 12. In order to check this, I substitute in. So here was my equation. J plus 12 equals 25. We found out that j is 13. So we found out that 13 plus 12 equals 25. And we know that that is correct. All right, let's do some more sample problems. We're going to be doing one-step equations. So let's do the next one. I want you to go ahead and write over here in your notes, k minus 16 equals 4. Okay, step number 1, find the balance. Step number 2, look for the variable. Here's the variable. Is the variable by itself? It is not by itself. It is on this side with minus 16. Well, I have to get it by itself, so I have to do the opposite of minus. What is the opposite of subtraction? Adding. So I'm going to add 16. Now remember, according to a scale, whatever I do to this side, I have to do to the other side. So I'm going to keep my balance here. And let's go ahead and do this on both sides. Negative 16 plus 16. Well, if I'm at negative 16 and I add 16, that's going to cancel out to 0, leaving the letter K. What is 4 plus 16? 4 plus 16 is 20. All right, let's check our work. My equation was this. We solved that K equals 20. Is 20 minus 16 4? It is correct. All right, once again, like I said, it's real easy to know that the answer would have been 20, but we're learning the steps. I need for you to see this step in your homework for today. Okay? All right, let's go ahead and try another practice problem. What if I would give you 34 plus h equals 122? Step number 1, find the balance. Step number 2, find the variable. Well, it's right over here. It's not by itself. It has 34 with it. Is that 34 positive or negative? Look, it's positive. Well, I need to get rid of it. I need to get rid of it so that h is by itself. And because 34 is positive, I'm going to know that that's kind of like addition, and the opposite of addition is subtraction. So I'm going to subtract. I'm going to line it right here underneath the 34. Then I'm going to bring my balance down, and the rule is whatever I do on this side, I have to do to this side. Positive 34 minus 34 cancels, leaving we have a positive h. We can leave it like that. Now I have to do 122 minus 34. Well, that's why I want to make sure I've lined it up so it's easy for me to subtract. 2 minus 4 I can't do, so I'm going to borrow, making this 12. 12 minus 4 is 8. 1 minus 3 I can't do, so I'm going to borrow again, and I'm going to do 11 minus 3, which is 8. So I have here that h equals 88. Let's check. My equation was originally 34 plus 88 equals 122. Let's see if that, oh, I already put the h in, didn't I? Let's see. Well, let's check. What is 34 plus 88? And it's 122. So we solved it correctly. Okay, so a couple things. Remember, when solving one-step equations, we have to find the balance. We have to see if the variable is by itself. And then we're going to do the opposite operation. If you notice, I had one step here. One step here. Okay, let's do a few more practice problems. So go ahead and find some empty space in your notes. All right, so in my notes, I'm going to put the equation. Remember, an equation has an equal sign. 12 equals 8 plus c. This is still considered an equation. It just happens to be written backwards. Now, if you want, you could always turn it around because we know that they're equal. But I'm going to keep it like this. Step number 1, find the balance. Step number 2, find the variable. It's c. Is it by itself over here? It's not. It has an 8 with it. Is that a positive or a negative 8? That's a positive 8. And because it's a positive 8, I have to do the opposite. So the opposite would be subtract 8. And of course the rule is whatever I do on this side of the balance, I have to do on that side of the balance. And make sure we're lining our numbers up. Let's put our line here to solve the problem. Let's do this side. 12 minus 8 should be 4. Bring down my balance. 8 minus 8 cancels to 0, leaving positive c. So I could turn it around and say that the variable c equals 4. Well, let's substitute c in here and see if that's true. 8 plus 4 happens to equal 12. Okay, remember we're doing some practice problems in our notes to help us so when we have to do our homework. The most important thing to know is not to just tell me that c equals 4. The important thing is going to be showing your work, showing the steps. Let's try another one. All right, what if I would give you h plus 9 equals 15? All right, so I apologize for that phone ringing, but let's go ahead and find our balance here. Step number 1. Step number 2, we need to find our variable. It's the letter h. If I notice on this side of the scale, it's not over here, but it is on this side, and it's not by itself. So we need to get rid of this constant, which is the number 9. The opposite of plus 9 would be minus 9. Remember, we're going to line things up straight up and down. Remember, the rule is whatever we do on this side of the balance, we have to do on this side of the balance. And we will go ahead and draw a line to solve our problem. 9 minus 9 cancels, leaving the letter h. Bring our balance down. 15 minus 9 is 6. Now if we want to check our work, we're going to write our equation right here. We're going to substitute the number 6 in here for h. What is 6 plus 9? 6 plus 9 happens to equal 15. Okay, so we did do our equation correct. Now, once again, the reason why we're writing these steps is because eventually I'm going to get to something called two-step equations. And you're going to need to know the steps in order to solve your equations. Right? The teachers in your classroom will probably do some more practice problems with you. Otherwise, I have a homework assignment for you to use. Please make sure you show your work. My remote students are to take pictures of their work and send it to me, please. All right. Have a great day.